Switch the color. 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 Switch the color.
Yo, it's Senzicor, back with another What If. And today, we'll be diving back into what if Bardock was reincarnated as Goku. Where we last left off, Raditz had willingly let himself be taken over by Bobby's mind control to prove that he was the superior Saiyan. This plan, of course, backfired, with Raditz getting one shot to the ground by Bardock. Bardock also one shot at Bobby and Deborah shortly afterward. After the events to Majin Raditz, his daughter Beta feared her father, and even when Tice tried reassuring her that her father wasn't himself, Beta never trusted Raditz again, and this made Raditz flee the planet. Tice and Beta eventually moved in with Bowman, Bardock, and Roman, and Bardock took responsibility for his son and niece/granddaughter Beta. And a time skip of the Buu saga to the Battle of Gods happened. Bardock would be training with Roman and Beta in the gravity chamber in Capsule Corp. Beta was fighting more seriously than Roman, still affected by the Majin Raditz incident. She didn't want to feel weak anymore. She wanted to surpass him and protect her mother just in case he came back. Bardock notices this, and honestly, he doesn't know how to feel about this. Of course, he is proud that she is driven to get stronger, though her motivation is concerning. It could lead her down a dark path like her father. She was very similar to Raditz, whether she admit it or he'll bring it up or not. Roman noticed this from his cousin as well. He tries cheering her up with his humor, but he always gets the cold shoulder. They used to be so close, but now, ever since that day, she's been so distant. Though, before you confront her about this, Bowman Tice screams. This catches the Saiyans off guard. They immediately rush to the scene. Bardock's eyes widen as he saw the two figures, recognizing one instantly. He's heard tales about him. The destroyer god that had King Vegeta as his literal stepping stool. What was someone like that doing here, especially after so many years of being gone? Bardock stepped forward, and Whis, standing beside Beerus, raised an eyebrow, sensing something off. Though he kept a serene smile and stayed silent. Whatever it is, he's sure it'll come to light. Bardock stood in between his family and the divine duo, his eyes sharpening when they locked with Beerus's. He's demanded what Beerus was doing here. Beerus, amused by Bardock's boldness, surprisingly answered, claiming to be here to search for a Super Saiyan god. Bardock, of course, tells Beerus he has no clue what he's talking about and tells him to leave now. Beerus gets aggravated by the Saiyan's attitude, though before anything could escalate, Roman comes up with a genius idea. He ran away from the scene, causing Beerus and Bardock to pause and turn to the fleeing Saiyan hybrid, before turning back to each other with their own respective scowls. Roman returns with all 7 Dragon Balls that was stored away, claiming that Shenron probably knew about what Super Saiyan God was. Bardock pulled his son over and began ruffling his hair, praising his son's genius. Eventually they all stood outside, and they summoned the Eternal Dragon, eventually making the wish, asking what a Super Saiyan God is. And Shenron explained like the original, bring up the emotion in your spirit and the need of 6 righteous Saiyans. Now there's a problem. They're down 3 Saiyans. Who knew where Raditz was? And Nappa and Vegeta haven't been heard of from since Namek. They're probably either dead or out there doing something stupid. Regardless, neither of those 3 were righteous. Though, just as Bardock thought about this, Whis' staff would glow, and suddenly, 3 Saiyans were teleported to the planet, all holding a bitten fruit. Whis' eyes widened slightly in intrigue. He knows that fruit, and so do we. It was the fruit of the Tree of Might. Bardock's eyes sharpened as he stared at the fruit. It held malevolent energy. Bardock scowled, though before he could berate his son, Beta burst into Super Saiyan 2. Yes, she unlocked it during a time skip. With hatred in her eyes, she rushed at Raditz, without hesitation. Raditz scowls at the display and meets his daughter's rush, trying to backhand her away, though she ducked under it and slammed her fist into his liver, forcing Raditz to fly back and drop the fruit. It rolled at Beta's foot. She stared at it for a second longer than she should have, before stomping on it. Raditz, recovering, sees this, and before anything could happen, Beerus knocked Raditz out. And Vegeta and Nappa were frozen in fear. They saw Beerus, and Vegeta noticed him instantly. remembering the humiliation his father went through because of him. Though before they could say anything, the fruits in their hands turned to a sand-like purple dust. Beerus tapped Raditz and he woke up. And before anyone could say anything, he explained what was going on, and how the rest of the Saiyans would choose who would become a Super Saiyan God, and he will face them, disobey him, and he will destroy them all and the entire planet. Begrudgingly, they all decide to obey, and eventually Bardock will be chosen for the ritual. Not only is he the strongest, he's arguably the most righteous one here, besides Roman of course, and they all began the ritual, and something odd happens. Bardock doesn't reject the transformation or anything, but something else happens. Bardock began to rise, energy from legendary Super Saiyan and God Ki radiating off his form, and unexpectedly, Bardock bursts into legendary Super Saiyan. Then his hair begins to grow in length, all the way down his back. When the transformation completes, Bardock wasn't shown to be in Super Saiyan God, at least not the traditional one. He was revealed to be in Z Broly's God form. I'll show it on screen. His hair is flowing and power surging around him. He descends back down, and unlike the original, Beerus wasn't smiling at this. The God Ki he felt was real, but it was tainted by the vile nature of legendary Super Saiyan. Unchecked, Bardock could be a threat to him. He already didn't like how disrespectful Bardock is, and now this? Nah. Beerus didn't wait a second, rushing Bardock instantly. Whis just stared at Bardock with an unreadable expression. Bardock surprisingly reacted to Beerus' rush, blocking Beerus' blow. Being pushed back, of course, though not as much as Beerus thought. Immediately, Bardock's fist launched at Bardock in retaliation. Beerus parries his blow, of course, though shocked by the force behind Bardock's blow. It stung, actually. Beerus used a lot more than he did in the original against Goku, kicking Bardock in the gut, taking the air of his lungs, sending him flying. Beerus almost sighed with relief seeing this, chasing after Bardock as they began their battle, rattling the planet, eventually taking it up to the edge of space. And like the original, Bardock absorbs the Super Saiyan God transformation. Space, now being a regular legendary Super Saiyan. Bardock was still able to fight Beerus. This battle was a lot more destructive than the original battle between Goku and Beerus. More and uninhabited planets were destroyed. Beerus was honestly having the time of his life, while Bardock was fighting for his. Beerus here was using more power than he was in the original, so Earth was honestly more threatened. Weather changes occurred across the entire planet, storms that broke records. Bardock was slowly climbing in power during the fight, though he was also getting tired. So, they decided to end things with one final attack. Bardock charging a full power Tyrant Lancer, and Beerus charging the Spear of Destruction. Both attacks hurled at one another. With just the blasts getting closer to each other, the entirety of Universe 7 began to tremble, as if preparing for its destruction. Though, Whis at the last second appeared in the middle of both attacks, dispersing both with his pinkies. And afterwards, Bardock had returned to base and began falling back to the planet. Beerus this time doesn't catch Bardock, letting him fall, though Roman appeared at the last moment, catching his father before he could collide with the planet's surface. Raditz, Nappa, and Vegeta were just utterly dumbfounded by all this. Vegeta was glaring at Raditz the entire time, not even watching the fight. Tights kept their distance. Bulma and Roman were aiding Bardock as Beerus descended down, threatening to destroy the planet since Bardock lost. It was a little more serious this time around. However, he still fell asleep, like the original, and Whis takes him to his planet. Thinking he'll need to talk with that Saiyan, he has an idea what Bardock is besides being the legendary Super Saiyan. And deep within the cosmos, the loyal soldiers were scheming the return of their tyrannical ruler, Frieza. Alright, and that'll end the Battle of Gods arc of What If Bardock was reincarnated as Goku. If you like my take on this topic, why don't you like the video and subscribe for more for this story and many others coming in the future. And make sure to comment down below what you think would have happened or even should have happened. I love to see all your opinions and respond to them. Alright, I'll catch you later. See ya.